The first time humanity stepped beyond the solar system, they didn't come in peace. They came in a battleship. The Horizon, they called it. The 3-kilometer behemoth of steel and carbon composite, bristling with kinetic cannons and missile tubes. No alien species had ever seen anything like it. Not because it was particularly advanced. Quite the opposite. The Horizon was brutish, inefficient, and loud. It burned fuel like a dying star and could be detected halfway across a system. But it was the largest warship ever built by any civilization in the known galaxy. Admiral Chen leaned forward in her command chair, studying the holographic display of the Orion cluster. Red markers indicated the reported positions of Vexari attack fleets, insectoid raiders who'd been picking off colony ships along the frontier for months. Intelligence suggested they were massing for something bigger. Status report, Chen said, her voice cutting through the quiet hum of the bridge. Lieutenant Rivera glanced up from his terminal. All systems nominal. Admiral, we're holding position at the edge of the Therios system. Stealth systems are offline as ordered. Good. Chen nodded. Let them know we're here. The plan was simple. Humanity had been a galactic presence for barely 50 years, a cosmic blink compared to species like the Alderans who'd been spacefaring for millennia. Earth was considered a backwater, its people primitive curiosities who'd somehow stumbled onto faster-than-light travel before they'd even unify their homeworld. No one took humans seriously, until now. The Vexari had been raiding human colonies for months, taking resources and lives with impunity. Diplomatic channels had failed. The Galactic Council had offered meaningless condolences, but no action. So Earth decided to speak in the only language predators understood. Signal from the perimeter satellites, Rivera announced. We have multiple contacts entering the system. Configuration matches Vexari scout vessels. Chen smiled thinly. Right on schedule. On the massive view screen dominating the bridge's forward wall, tiny pinpricks of light appeared against the black. The Vexari operated in swarms, dozens of small, agile craft that overwhelmed defenses through sheer numbers. Against the civilian ships they typically targeted, it was devastatingly effective. They've detected us, the sensor officer reported. Their formation is breaking apart. They appear to be confused. For good reason. No one built ships like the Horizon anymore. The Galactic standard was elegant, efficient vessels, utilizing gravitational manipulation and energy weapons. Clean, precise, civilized. The Horizon was none of those things. It was a statement written in steel and firepower, a testament to humanity's oldest instinct. When threatened, hit back harder. Open a channel, Chen ordered. All frequencies. The communications officer nodded. Channel open. Admiral. Chen rose from her chair, squaring her shoulders. This is Admiral Lin Chen of the Earth Defense Force vessel Horizon. You have attacked human settlements, killed our people, and stolen our resources. This ends today. She paused, letting the silence stretch. Let them feel it, she thought. The weight of what's coming. The Vexari will withdraw from human space immediately. You will return all captives and provide reparations for the damage you've caused. Failure to comply will result in consequences. A harsh, clicking noise responded. The Vexari language, translated through the ship's systems. Humans have no standing to make demands. The strong take. The weak submit. This is the way of existence. Chen's expression hardened. I was hoping you'd say that. She nodded to her weapons officer. Target their command vessel. A demonstration. 2 minutes later, the Vexari commander's ship was nothing but expanding debris. The Horizon's main cannon, a railgun measuring almost a kilometer in length, had fired a projectile at nearly 1% the speed of light. No shields in the galaxy could stop something with that much kinetic energy. The rest of the Vexari fleet scattered, their coordinated swarm dissolving into panic. Chen had studied their psychology. Vexari respected strength above all else, and feared those who demonstrated it unexpectedly. They're retreating, Admiral, Rivera reported, unable to keep the note of satisfaction from his voice. "Let them go," Chen replied. "They'll spread the word." Later, in her quarters, Chen recorded her personal log. First contact with Vexari forces successful. Minimal casualties on both sides. Just enough to make our point. The council representatives are already sending messages demanding explanations, citing regulations against primitive weaponry and disproportionate force. They don't understand humanity yet. She paused, looking out her viewport at the stars. We tried diplomacy. We tried integration. But some lessons in this galaxy can only be taught one way. The Alderans have their millennia of culture, the Trojans have their psychic abilities, and the Moraki have their biological technology. Humanity, we have persistence, and the willingness to do what's necessary. The ship's AI interrupted. "Admiral, incoming transmission from Earth Command. Priority Alpha." Chen straightened. "Put it through." The holographic display flickered to life, showing the grim face of General Santiago. "Admiral, situation has escalated. We've lost contact with Proxima Colony. All 20,000 civilians. Preliminary data suggests it wasn't the Vexari." Chen felt ice in her veins. Who, then? Unknown, but whatever hit them was big. Much bigger than a raiding party. Santiago's image leaned closer. "The council is convening an emergency session. Something's coming, Lin. Something that has even the elder races scared." Chen nodded slowly, her mind already calculating. "The horizon was built for this, sir." "I hope so," Santiago replied. "Because whatever wiped out Proxima is heading toward Earth next. You have 48 hours to intercept." After that, he didn't need to finish the sentence. The transmission ended, leaving Chen alone with the weight of what was coming. Humanity had built the horizon as a warning to the galaxy. Now it would need to be a shield. She pressed the ship-wide communication button. "All hands, battle stations. We're moving out." The stars watched as the massive human vessel turned, its engines flaring like a newborn sun. Perhaps the galaxy should have paid more attention to the species that had risen from a world of predators to touch the stars. Perhaps they should have recognized that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology, but its determination. The horizon accelerated toward destiny, carrying humanity's answer to whatever awaited in the darkness between stars. And the galaxy held its breath. The horizon cut through the darkness of space, its massive engines leaving a blue-white trail visible across multiple systems. Admiral Chen hadn't slept in 36 hours, but stims and determination kept her upright. The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, their faces tight with the knowledge of what had happened at Proxima. "Tell me about Proxima Colony," Chen said to her XO as they studied tactical displays in her ready room. Commander Navarro pulled up holographic images of the settlement. Founded 12 years ago. 22,000 colonists as of last census. Agricultural focus, but they'd recently discovered significant mineral deposits. They were just establishing mining operations. Chen's eyes narrowed. Valuable enough to attract attention. Maybe. But there are richer targets closer to established routes. Navarro swiped through more images, stopping at a satellite view of the colony before communication was lost. Last transmissions mentioned unusual electromagnetic disturbances. Then nothing. No distress signal. No evacuation. Not a single escape pod launched. Whatever hit them, it was fast. Navarro's voice was flat, professional, but Chen caught the edge of emotion. He'd had family on Proxima. Chen turned to the viewport, watching the stars streak by. Humanity had clawed its way into space through sheer persistence. Early generations of colonists faced radiation poisoning, equipment failures, alien microbes, and the crushing isolation of deep space. But they endured. They always endured. And now 22,000 of them were gone without a trace. "Admiral," Lieutenant Rivera called from the bridge. "We're picking up something ahead." Chen returned to the command center, where the main view screen showed empty space. Specifics: Lieutenant. It's difficult to explain. Rivera's brow furrowed as he studied his instruments. Sensors indicate a mass shadow approximately 1.8 AU ahead, but there's nothing visible. No radiation signature, no heat, nothing. A cloaking technology, Chen suggested. The science officer, Dr. Reeves, shook her head. More advanced than anything we've seen before. This isn't just bending light around an object. It's as if something massive is there, and not there simultaneously. Could it be a sensor malfunction? Chen asked. We've run 3 diagnostics. Something's out there. Chen's mind raced. Humans were newcomers to the galactic scene, still learning the rules and boundaries. The elder races, Aldarans, Tresians, Moraki, had technologies that seemed like magic to humanity. But even they had limitations, followed certain laws of physics. Approach with caution, Chen ordered. All weapons systems on standby. And someone get me the Galactic Council representative. Minutes later, the holographic form of Ambassador Trell materialized in the strategy room. The Aldaran diplomat looked distinctly uncomfortable, his elongated features pinched with concern. Admiral Chen, I understand you're investigating the unfortunate incident at Proxima. Cut the diplomatic garbage, Trell. 22,000 humans are dead. I want to know what the Council knows about it. The Aldaran's golden eyes blinked slowly. The Council has no official position on. We're tracking something massive heading toward Earth, something that doesn't register on normal sensors. Tell me what we're dealing with. Trell's expression shifted subtly. Fear. Chen had learned to read alien expressions during her years of service, and the ambassador was afraid. Your species is young, Admiral. There are aspects of galactic history the Council has deemed inappropriate to share with emerging civilizations. Chen stepped closer to the hologram. Those aspects just wiped out an entire colony. If Earth is next, I need to know what we're facing. Trell seemed to wage an internal battle before responding. What I tell you now is forbidden knowledge. The sharing of it could result in my execution. He paused. Have you heard of the Void Harvesters? Chen shook her head. They are ancient, older than any known civilization. They appear approximately every 12,000 years, harvest what they need, and vanish back into the dark spaces between galaxies. Harvest what exactly? Life energy, consciousness. The exact mechanism is unknown, but they leave nothing behind. No bodies, no ruins. Only empty settlements that appear completely untouched. Chen felt a chill run through her. Why haven't we been warned? The Council believed they weren't due for another century at least. Their appearance now is unprecedented. Trell's form flickered slightly. The elder races have protocols, shelters built deep within the cores of planets. We survive by hiding. And you didn't think to share this information with humanity. Chen's voice was dangerously quiet. The Council voted against it. They believed that humans were too unpredictable, that you might take rash action. Like trying to fight back? Chen asked. Trell's expression said everything. The galactic civilization, with all its advanced technology and millennia of knowledge, had chosen to hide rather than confront these void harvesters. How many worlds have been lost over the eons? Chen pressed. Thousands, maybe millions. The bridge comm interrupted. Admiral, we're now within visual range of the anomaly. We'll finish this conversation later, Ambassador. Chen cut the connection and returned to the bridge. On the view screen, space itself seemed to warp and twist. A vast shadow moved against the stars, not so much an object as an absence, a three-dimensional void that the mind couldn't quite process. Magnification, Chen ordered. The image zoomed in, and collective gasps filled the bridge. The void had structure, a massive crystalline lattice that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Along its edges, smaller shapes moved with purpose, like antibodies protecting a cell. That's what destroyed Proxima, Navarro whispered. Dr. Reeves was rapidly analyzing data. Its mass is incalculable. Its It's like looking at a piece of another universe that's bleeding into ours. The laws of physics barely apply to it. Chen studied the monstrosity with growing determination. The elder races had survived by hiding. But Earth had no planetary shelters, no established protocols. Humanity had one advantage: the horizon. And perhaps something else: the unknown factor that had always made humans dangerous. The refusal to accept defeat. Calculate a firing solution, Chen ordered. Main cannon, full charge. Rivera looked up in shock. Admiral, that thing is at least 100 times the size of the horizon. Our weapons might not even. We're not going to stand by while this thing heads toward Earth. Chen's voice was iron. If the elder races won't fight, we will. That's what humans do. As the horizon prepared for battle, Chen remembered something her grandfather, a history professor, had once told her. Throughout human history, we faced predators bigger and stronger than ourselves. We survived not by being the strongest, but by being the most stubborn and by working together. The massive railgun began to charge, drawing power from the ship's reactors. Against the void, it might be nothing more than throwing a stone at a hurricane, but it would be the first strike humanity had ever launched against the harvesters. The first blow in a war no one had dared to fight before. Firing solution calculated, Rivera announced, his voice steady despite the odds. Main cannon at 97% charge. The horizon trembled slightly as power surged through its systems. On the view screen, the Void Harvester continued its relentless approach, unaware or unconcerned about the tiny human vessel in its path. Target their central structure, Chen ordered, and send a message to Earth Command. Tell them. She paused, considering her words carefully. Tell them humanity stops running today. Fire, Chen commanded, her voice cutting through the tense silence of the bridge. The horizon shuddered as its main cannon discharged, a lance of hyper-accelerated tungsten streaking toward the Void Harvester. The projectile, traveling at nearly 1% the speed of light, crossed the distance in seconds. It struck the crystalline lattice and vanished. No explosion, no impact debris. The railgun round simply ceased to exist. Silence fell across the bridge. Dr. Reeves was the first to speak. It absorbed the kinetic energy. Completely. Chen's jaw tightened. Prepare another round. Full power. Admiral, Navarro cautioned, if their structure can absorb that much energy. I know what it means, Commander. Chen didn't take her eyes off the view screen. But we need data. We need to understand what we're fighting. As the horizon prepared a second shot, the Void Harvester changed. The crystalline lattice rippled, and one section extended toward them, like a tendril reaching for prey. Evasive maneuvers, Chen ordered, but the horizon's bulk made it slow to respond. The tendril brushed against their shields, and every system on the ship fluctuated. Lights dimmed, gravity wavered, and for a heartbeat, every crew member felt something alien touch their minds. What was that? Chen demanded, shaking off the strange sensation. It's scanning us, Dr. Reeves said, her voice hollow. Not just our technology, it's scanning our consciousness. Lieutenant Rivera looked up from his console, face pale. Admiral, we've got movement. Hundreds of smaller objects detaching from the main structure. The view screen showed crystalline shards breaking away from the harvester, each about the size of a fighter craft. They moved with impossible precision, forming a sphere around the horizon. They're cutting off our escape, Navarro said. Chen studied the tactical display. The horizon was powerful, but its main weapons were designed for large targets. Against a swarm of smaller, faster objects, they were at a disadvantage. Launch fighter squadrons, she ordered. All of them. And get me a direct line to Earth Command. As the Horizon's fighters deployed, meeting the crystal shards in the void between the battleship and the harvester, Chen received a transmission from General Santiago. We've seen the data you've sent, Santiago said without preamble. We're evacuating as many as we can to the deep shelters, But Earth doesn't have the infrastructure the elder races built. We're looking at billions of casualties if that thing reaches us. Chen swallowed hard. Sir, conventional weapons aren't effective. The entity absorbs energy. Santiago's image nodded grimly. We suspected as much from historical records. That's why we're authorizing Protocol Omega. Chen felt the blood drain from her face. Sir, that's a theoretical weapon. We've never tested it on this scale. It's the only option we have. Santiago looked away briefly, then back at Chen with steel in his eyes. A transport is en route to your position with the device. Your orders are to deliver it to the core of that thing, by any means necessary. The transmission ended, leaving Chen with the weight of what had just been authorized. Protocol Omega, a dimensional disruptor designed to tear a hole between realities, a weapon of absolutely last resort, developed in secret after humanity discovered certain properties of quantum physics that even the elder races hadn't explored. Not because they couldn't, Chen realized, but because they were too cautious to try. Outside, the battle raged between the Horizon's fighters and the crystal shards. The human pilots were creative, unpredictable, using tactics no training simulation had prepared them for. But for every shard they destroyed, 2 more broke off from the main harvester. The transport will be here in 20 minutes, Chen told her command staff. We need to hold position until then. Another tremor ran through the ship as a crystal shard impacted their shields. This time, the alien presence in their minds was stronger, more invasive. Several crew members cried out, clutching their heads. They're learning, Dr. Reeves gasped, fighting off the mental intrusion. Adapting to our neural patterns, the next wave will be worse. Chen stared at the massive void harvester. Its central structure had begun to glow with an eerie blue-white light, the same energy signature recorded just before Proxima Colony went silent. It's preparing to harvest, Rivera said, voice tight with controlled fear. Chen made her decision. Prepare the engines for maximum burn. We're going in. Navarro stared at her. Into that thing. Admiral, the shields won't last 5 minutes against direct contact. We don't need 5 minutes. We need to buy time for the transport and create a weakness, a way to deliver Protocol Omega to its core. Chen addressed the entire bridge. I won't order anyone to stay on board. Evacuation pods are authorized for any crew who wish to leave. Not a single person moved. Chen nodded, throat tight with pride. Plot a course through the thinnest part of their formation. All power to forward shields. Let's show these harvesters what humans do when backed into a corner. The Horizon's engines flared to life, pushing the massive battleship toward the crystalline nightmare that had consumed thousands of worlds. Around them, human fighters closed ranks, creating a corridor through the swarm of shards. As they accelerated toward what might be certain death, Chen thought of Earth. Of green fields and blue oceans, of cities glittering at night, of forests and mountains and deserts, of 8 billion people who had no idea that their fate now hung in the balance, dependent on whether one battleship could achieve the impossible. The Void Harvester loomed larger in the view screen, its alien geometry becoming more distorted and unsettling as they drew closer. The blue-white glow at its center pulsed like a heartbeat, hungry for consciousness to consume. Impact in 30 seconds, Rivera announced, his voice steady despite everything. Chen gripped the arms of her command chair. For Earth, she said quietly. The Horizon plunged into the outer layers of the Void Harvester like a bullet into flesh. The ship's shields screamed with energy overload as they tore through crystalline structures that shattered and reformed in their wake. The view screen showed impossible geometries stretching and bending around them, reality itself distorting under the influence of the alien entity. Shields at 40% and falling. Rivera shouted over the wailing alarms. Chen gripped her chair as the ship violently shuddered. Keep pushing. We need to get closer to the core. A blinding flash of blue-white energy washed over the bridge, and with it came the voices. Thousands of them, millions perhaps, screaming in a cacophony of terror and confusion inside every crew member's mind. human voices. "Admiral," Dr. Reeves gasped, tears streaming down her face as she fought against the psychic onslaught. Those are the people from Proxima. They're still alive somehow. Stored. Conscious." Navarro's face had gone white. "Not just Proxima. I can feel billions of consciousnesses from thousands of worlds, spanning back. God, it must be millions of years." Chen felt it too, a vast ocean of trapped minds, still aware, still suffering. The harvesters didn't just destroy worlds. They preserved their victims in a state of eternal, conscious imprisonment. "Main power failing," Rivera reported, his voice shaking with the effort of remaining focused through the psychic storm. "We're losing propulsion." Chen activated the ship-wide comm. "All hands, brace for." Her words cut off as a new presence entered her mind. Unlike the chaotic chorus of captive souls, this consciousness was singular, vast, and ancient. It moved through her thoughts with cold precision, examining her memories, her fears, her hopes. When it spoke, it wasn't with words but with concepts that unfolded in her mind like poisonous flowers. "We HAVNEVRENCOMNTERET, your kind beevivore." Chen found herself standing in a featureless white void, face to face with something. It wore a human shape but was clearly an approximation, a courtesy extended by an intelligence that had no true physical form. "What are you?" Chen demanded, somehow knowing this conversation was happening faster than thought, while her physical body remained on the bridge. "You KALUS collectors. Preservers. We gather Kionis's IOUs and ESs before AT is lost to ENTROPY. You imprison people, entire civilizations. Preservation requires containment." The figure tilted its head with an inhuman precision. "Your species' interest is US. You ATTACK rather than hate ID. You sacrifice rather TANSUBVITE." Images flooded Chen's mind. The Horizon's fighters deliberately ramming crystal shards to protect their comrades. Crew members refusing evacuation pods, her own decision to charge the harvester. Humanity fights when threatened. We always have. Fighting is inefficient, yet you HAVCREAT something in you. The figure waved a hand, and Chen saw Protocol Omega, not the physical device, but the quantum principles behind it. The harvester had extracted this knowledge from her mind. Dimensional disruption. Primitive, yet elegant. The other elder species lack the imagination, or PRHAPS TED inspiration. With sudden clarity, Chen understood the truth. You've been culling the galaxy for millions of years, taking the best minds, the brightest civilizations. But you've been selecting for compliance, for species that hide rather than fight back. The figure seemed to smile, though its face remained featureless. Natural Zelistuchian on a Galactic is a scale. We harvest the worthy. We leave the rest to evolve, to PRAPs be more interesting. And now you found us interesting. Indeed. A tremor ran through the white void as something impacted the harvester. Chen felt a moment of hope. The transport with Protocol Omega must have arrived. Her hope died as the figure's next thought unfolded in her mind. We have decided to harvest your entire species, not merely a colony. Your KOLECTIV and NESTs, while making a valuable addition to our KOLECTIV. The void shimmered, and suddenly Chen could see Earth through the harvester's senses. Not just Earth now, but Earth across time, from its formation to its eventual death when the sun expanded. The harvester existed partially outside normal spacetime, she realized with horror. It could reach backward and forward along Earth's timeline, harvesting humanity across its entire existence. No, Chen fought against the mental prison. We won't be your specimens. The transport ship appeared on the mental landscape, carrying Protocol Omega, humanity's last hope. But as it approached, Chen saw with sick dread that the Harvester had already adapted. The dimensional disruptor that might have torn it apart was now just another curiosity to be absorbed and studied. Then, from the depths of the trapped consciousnesses, came a whisper. One voice, then dozens, then thousands, then millions. A rising tide of defiance from every consciousness the Harvesters had captured over the eons. And Chen realized there was one thing the Harvester hadn't considered. By connecting all these minds together, by creating this psychic network to contain them, it had inadvertently created a potential weapon far more powerful than Protocol Omega. You shouldn't have let us talk to each other, Chen thought, as she reached out to the billions of imprisoned souls and shared her plan, a desperate gambit that might free them all, or destroy everything in the attempt. For the first time in its ancient existence, the Void Harvester felt something new. Fear. Chen reached out to the billions of imprisoned minds, her consciousness stretching thin across the vast network the Harvester had created. At first, there was only chaos, trillions of disparate thoughts, memories, and emotions swirling in a psychic maelstrom. But slowly, impossibly, they began to align. The Harvester's mental construct flickered as it sensed the change. Not puosabil. You can nanod coordinate. You underestimated what consciousness can do when united by a common enemy. Chen pushed back, her thoughts amplified by countless others. For millions of years, you've been collecting minds, preserving them in your network. Did you ever consider what would happen if they all pushed back at once? The white void trembled as billions of captured souls focused their collective will against their captor. The Harvester's control began to slip, fractures appearing in the mental prison it had constructed. On the horizon's bridge, the crew watched in awe as the crystalline structure around them began to vibrate at increasing frequencies. Fissures of bright light spread through the Harvester's body like lightning through storm clouds. What's happening? Navarro asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Reeves stared at her instruments in disbelief. It's destabilizing from within. The energy patterns are fluctuating wildly. Chen's physical body sat motionless in her command chair, eyes open but unseeing as her mind battled alongside trillions of others in a realm beyond normal perception. In that mental battlefield, she gathered the collective will of every consciousness the Harvester had ever captured and focused it like a lens concentrating sunlight. Stop, the Harvester commanded, its thoughts now tinged with desperation. You will destroy yourselves as well. An ancient consciousness, one of the first the Harvester had ever captured, surged forward through the network. Better oblivion than eternal imprisonment, it communicated, its thought voice carrying the weight of millions of years of captivity. Chen felt the transport ship carrying Protocol Omega dock with the horizon. The dimensional disruptor might not work as originally intended, but it could still serve a purpose. Rivera, she called out, her physical voice weak but determined. Reroute the disruptor's energy matrix. Don't activate it. Feed its power directly into the ship's shields. Rivera worked frantically at his console. What are you trying to do, Admiral? Creating a resonance cascade. Chen managed, still fighting the mental battle. The Harvester adapted to absorb the disruptor's energy, but it didn't account for what would happen if that energy was channeled through billions of connected minds simultaneously. As Protocol Omega's power began flowing into the horizon's shield generators, Chen directed the imprisoned consciousnesses to synchronize with its frequency. Like singers finding perfect harmony, trillions of minds aligned their thoughts with the quantum resonance of the dimensional disruptor. The Harvester's structure began to collapse inward, its carefully ordered lattice breaking down as the collective will of its captives tore at the fabric of its existence. You will die with us, it projected, a final threat as its control systems failed. Maybe, Chen acknowledged. But humanity will survive, and they'll remember what happened here. With a thought that echoed across the mental network, Chen activated the modified protocol Omega. A pulse of energy rippled outward from the horizon, amplified by the collective consciousness of trillions of imprisoned souls. The harvester's structure didn't so much explode as unravel, collapsing in on itself as the dimensional boundaries it had manipulated for eons suddenly destabilized. On Earth, on the colony worlds, across the galaxy, every sentient being felt a moment of connection, a brief, impossible union with countless others across space and time. The horizon drifted in empty space where the void harvester had been. Emergency systems operated on minimal power. The bridge was silent except for the soft beeping of life support warnings. "Did we win?" Navarro asked, breaking the silence. Before anyone could answer, a soft light began to glow in the center of the bridge. It expanded, taking shape, a figure composed of pure energy, with features that seemed to shift between thousands of different species. "You freed us," the entity said, its voice somehow understandable to everyone despite speaking in no recognizable language. "After millions of years of captivity, you showed us how to break free." Chen stepped toward the glowing figure. "Who are you?" "We are what remains. When you destroyed the harvester's control systems, you released us from captivity. But our consciousness had been stored together for too long. We cannot return to our original forms." The entity's light pulsed gently. "We have become something new, something that has never existed before. A composite consciousness spanning millions of species and billions of years of evolution." "What will you do now?" Chen asked. The entity seemed to smile, though its features remained in constant flux. "We will remember, we will watch, and we will ensure the harvesters never threaten any world again." The glowing figure began to fade. "Your ship is damaged beyond repair, but we have enough influence over physical reality to send you home. Earth needs to know what happened here." As the entity disappeared, the horizon was enveloped in a sphere of golden light. When it faded, they found themselves in orbit around Earth. "How did we?" Rivera began, but stopped as communications suddenly came to life. "Horizon, this is Earth Command." General Santiago's voice came through, filled with relief. "We lost contact with you for 7 days. What happened out there?" Chen looked at her crew, exhausted, traumatized, but alive, and allowed herself a small smile. "Sir," she replied, "I believe we just changed the rules of the galaxy." Light years away, in the darkness between stars, the newly formed collective consciousness began its eternal vigil. And within it, billions of once separate minds shared a single thought. For the first time in millions of years, the stars no longer shivered in fear. 3 months after the horizon's return, Earth had changed. News of the Void Harvester and humanity's stand against it spread across the planet, and to every colony world. The Galactic Council, initially outraged at humanity's reckless intervention, fell silent when the composite entity, now calling itself the Consortium, made its presence known across the galaxy. Admiral Chen stood at the window of her new office in the Earth Defense Headquarters, gazing at the memorial being constructed in the plaza below. 22,000 names from Proxima Colony would be etched into its surface, not as a monument to loss, but as a reminder of why humanity needed to remain vigilant. "They're calling it the Chen Doctrine now," General Santiago said as he entered the room. "The idea that humanity doesn't hide from threats. We confront them." Chen smiled faintly. "The crew of the Horizon deserves the credit. They're the ones who risked everything. Which is why I'm promoting Commander Navarro to captain. He'll command our newest vessel, the Phoenix." Santiago handed her a data tablet. "The Council has invited us to join their inner circle. First new species in 12,000 years to receive that honor." "They're afraid of us," Chen observed, scanning the formal invitation. "With good reason." Santiago gazed out at the memorial. "No other species has ever destroyed a harvester, and certainly none has created, whatever the Consortium is. The consortium had established communication with every known civilization. It shared knowledge freely, not advanced technology that would disrupt cultural development, but insights and perspectives spanning millions of years and thousands of species. Most importantly, it confirmed that the Void Harvesters had hunted the galaxies in cycles since before any current civilization arose, but many more still lurked in the dark spaces between galaxies. "How are the survivors from the horizon adjusting?" Santiago asked. Chen's expression sobered. The psychic contact with billions of imprisoned minds left scars. Dr. Reeves is working with them, but some wounds take time to heal. "And you?" Chen closed her eyes briefly. "I still hear them sometimes. Not like before, but echoes. The consortium says it's a side effect of having coordinated their consciousness. It'll fade eventually." A light on Chen's desk pulsed, the special communication link established with the consortium. "I should take this," she said. Santiago nodded and left her alone. When the door closed, Chen activated the link. A gentle glow filled the room, coalescing into the now familiar shifting form of the cosmic entity. "Admiral Chen." The consortium greeted her, its voice a harmonious blend of countless others. "We bring news. Our explorations have detected movement in the Perseus void. The harvesters are aware one of their own has fallen. They are curious." "How many?" Chen asked, her military mind immediately assessing the threat. "3, perhaps 4. They move slowly. You have time to prepare." Chen nodded. "And the elder races, will they stand with us this time?" "Some will. Others remain bound by old fears. But your actions have changed more than you know. The Alderans have begun building warships based on the Horizon's design. The Tresians are teaching their young to fight rather than only to hide." The entity's form shimmered. "In all our collected memory, spanning billions of years, we have never seen the galaxy unite as it begins to now. You have given something precious to species who had forgotten it existed." "What's that?" Chen asked. "Hope," the consortium replied simply. "The belief that the oldest predators in existence can be defeated." After the communication ended, Chen returned to the window. The sun was setting over the memorial, casting long shadows across the plaza. Tomorrow she would begin reviewing designs for Earth's new defense fleet. The Horizon had been just one ship, a statement of humanity's resolve. What was coming would be a true armada, built with the combined knowledge of Earth's engineers and insights from the consortium. Her communicator chimed with a message from Rivera, now serving as tactical officer on the Phoenix. The ship's maiden voyage would depart next week, a diplomatic mission to the Alderan homeworld to coordinate defense plans. Chen thought about all they had learned about the Void Harvesters, ancient, patient predators that had shaped galactic evolution through selective culling. For millions of years, they had favored species that hid, that submitted, that accepted their fate. Then they encountered humans. As night fell over Earth Defense Headquarters, Admiral Chen smiled at the stars becoming visible in the darkening sky. The galaxy was changing. New alliances forming. Ancient enemies preparing to face a common threat. And somewhere out there, in the blackness between stars, the harvesters were coming. But this time, they wouldn't find easy prey. They would find a galaxy that had learned from humanity's example, a galaxy ready to fight back. The stars no longer shivered in fear. They burned with defiance.